What's going on, peoples? It's Gendo here, and welcome back to another edition of the Great Chicago Fire. As always, if you're still enjoying the series, please go and drop it a like. Now, today we got the off season between season 2 and 3, which means transfer and trade special. This entire episode will be dedicated to that, but of course, we didn't go over the awards from the end of last season, so let's get into that first. There were a couple of Chicago Fire players that were in the running, as well as have won a couple awards. So the first thing that you see here is that Gonzalo Verón from New York Red Bulls has won the MVP, which I find very, very interesting because Gonzalo Verón is no longer in the MLS. He's in fact playing for Tigres down in Mexico, yet he still wins the MVP award. Rather shocking. David Accam getting jobbed out of that as he comes in second place. Going right above that, Michael Deleu, as I mentioned in the last episode, getting the Golden Boot for the MLS. 26 goals in 34 appearances. The guy just could not stop scoring. Tim Howard beats out Sean Johnson for Goalkeeper of the Year, and honestly, looking at the stats, I can see why. 26 conceded in 35 matches played. Yeah, if you concede less than you actually play, you're up for the award. And that Johnson, I believe, was right around that same ratio, like 1-to-1 ratio, but Timmy Howard did better. Coming in first and second place in the Defender of the Year, we got Rodrigo Ramos actually winning the award, and Iko Para coming in second place. Look at that, 39 appearances throughout the entire season, 7.30 average rating. Of course, all those assists helped as well. And then, of course, notwithstanding, I win the Manager of the Year once again, not just because of Eastern Conference and Supporters Shield top honors, but now winning the MLS Cup. I don't understand why the MLS has such a weird formation when determining their best 11, but as it stands, we had 5 players in the best 11. Sean Johnson, Iko Para, David Accam, Kevin Molino, and Michael Deleu, which is a great honor for this team. Then taking a look at the club season awards, Michael Deleu is the fans' best player of the season. Actually, the fans couldn't decide on who the best player was. As you can see, Michael Deleu only with 36%. It wasn't far and away the best player. David Accam with 32, Rodrigo Ramos with 22, and of course Rodrigo Ramos also sweeping Young Player of the Season and Signing of the Season. Goal of the season was Pedro Ferreira. That was his dig from about 30 yards out, if you don't remember. Let's take a look. So as you can take a look, Hogger gets it out to Ferrer. Okay, it wasn't 25 yards out, but it was at the top of the D, and that's pretty impressive nonetheless. A great strike from outside of the box, and that was versus Columbus. I believe that was a win. Yes, it was. It was a 3-2 win versus Columbus. So we do have the option to reloan Pedro Ferreira in for another 12 months. Now, I don't know if he would actually get some starting time in the Sporting side or if he would go back to the Sporting B team, but I'm going to throw the offer out there anyway because he was such a great holding midfielder for us last season, and I would love to have him back. And he's also on low wage bill at $10,000 we would have to pay for his salary. So yeah, that would be great. Not a big hit on our cap whatsoever. So this is a guy that I've been looking at for at least a year now, since the middle of last season. Christian Ramirez from Minnesota United. As you can see, he's a striker, and my scouts once again recommended him to me as a replacement for Dimitar Berbatov because he's going to be retiring. And I say he's not a bad player whatsoever, and I'd love to make him a part of this squad. Yes, he gets some rotation with Michael Deleu, and he doesn't look that bad, honestly. 14 finishing, a 13 composure, 13 off the ball, decent physically, decent mentally. Yes, he may have only had 7 goals in 26, but I feel like if he comes into this system, he can start banging him in on a regular basis, swapping him out with Michael Deleu on a regular basis. Yeah, so I think we should probably put in a trade offer for him, but I don't know what Minnesota wants. Which, that being said, I don't like using the draft whatsoever, so I'm going to give him my first round pick for this upcoming super draft, as well as $100,000 in general allocation money. I feel like that's overpaying for this guy, but he looks decent enough that I can utilize him in my system. Now the question is, will Minnesota accept? They don't accept, so I'm thinking that he's kind of off limits right now. So once again, the December waiver draft is upon us, and just like last year, there isn't anybody out there that I feel like I should be picking up and would actually do well enough in my side. So I'm just going to pass and finish and quit out of this. Well, it looks like I can't go after Belkebla. I noticed that he is out 5 to 6 months with a hip injury, so a good young prospect in that middle of the park. Can't go after him. Interesting thing of note, Bastian Schweinsteiger has been transfer listed by Manchester United, and they accepted a $110,000 offer from us, and he is willing to negotiate a contract. which is great news for us. But the problem is he is looking for a little bit too high of wage, so I'm going to bring that down. He said he wanted $575,000. I'm going to try and negotiate $450 with a signing on fee of $100,000. This would only be for the next year, bringing him on. Would he be okay with that? I would have to take a $200,000 hit in my general allocation money if this goes through, and it's looking like it will probably be a $240,000 general allocation money to pay for his cost of bringing him over if he accepts, and he does accept. So Bastian Schweinsteiger, the dream not completely dead, as he could possibly still come to Chicago. Okay, so part one of the re-entry draft, and even though I have Bradley Wright Phillips staring me in the face to pick up for my striker woes, he's on the wrong side of 30. He's on a long-term injury right now, so I can understand why New York Red Bulls got rid of him. I just don't feel like he is a good enough player at this point in time in his career to pick him up and to justify paying his wages. So I'm going to have to pass on him and everybody else because everyone's either old or just bad. And the dream is officially going to come to Chicago. It may be a year later than what could happen in real life, but he is going to officially become a Chicago Fire member. He's 33. He's going to be 34 next season, but I feel like him and Pedro Ferreira in the middle of the park are going to be the absolute rocks that we can build upon for this team next year. He's a great player, brings in a lot of experience, and he's still a very special guy in terms of his stats. Those aren't going to downgrade anytime soon, so a really, really good pickup. But I do notice that he is coming in on the 21st of February, and that is also the first day of our CONCACAF Champions League match with Seattle, so he might not even be eligible or even registered to play, so that's a bit of a problem. So we need to figure out how to fill up the rest of the midfield while waiting for him to come in. Also, one more thing to look at, he is taking a gigantic pay cut to play in Chicago. As you can see, he's still getting paid $16 million at Manchester United, and we offered him $500,000. He said, okay, what a great bargain. So that does address one issue in my squad, since Labraca is going to be out. He's a midfielder. Arturo Alvarez, the right winger, he's going to be out. Eric Gehrig is a defender, and he's already had a bid put in for him by Swope Park, who sit in the third tier of U.S. soccer, so he's going to be out. He didn't really do much for us last year. So I need another midfielder, aside from Bastian. I need a right winger, and I need a defender. Which, yes, I could possibly bring those guys in from the draft, but it's too risky trying to go young. So, I mean, I have Molino and Akam and Solonyak in emergency, but I would love to have a backup right mid. Someone fast like Jazzy Zardes, he'd be good. Juan Agudelo, maybe. I don't know about his crossing ability. He's got a 10. That's not bad. Joseph Claude Giao from DC United. He's also pretty decent. I mean, no. Now, this guy from Club America really looks good. He's fast. He's got some decent technicals about him, but I don't think the price would be right to bring him in. As you can see, he's worth almost $2 million. Club America won at least double, and he's on a pretty hefty fee right now. Yes, I can bring him in as a designated player thanks to Dimitar Berbatov retiring and having that slot open up, but it's a little risky because he would want some first-team football as well. And actually, he's not asking for a lot of money. Club America accepted $950,000 for him, which is less than half what his value is. I'm fine with that. And using him as a designated player, he only wanted $588,000, which was less than what he was getting at Club America. If we can just negotiate to have the right price to bring him in, I would love to make this guy a part of my team. And it looks like he wants a little bit higher wage for a little bit longer contract length. We'll go $525,000 as a designated player. He accepts Renato Ibarra from Club America. I can't remember what his nationality was. Ecuadorian. So we got an Ecuadorian coming in from Club America, and he would definitely add a whole ton of pace along that right side. He would have Akam and Molino and Renato Ibarra. We just have fast wingers for days. Because compared to Arturo Alvarez, who was lacking in pace, oh, what a big step up that would be. Having Akam get subbed off and then getting even more pace late in matches with Renato Ibarra. Oh, that would be tremendous. So I took a look at my affiliates, and I have 3 affiliates. I have, of course, my under-23s. I have my Fire Academy, which are one and the same. There's an Indiana Fire, which is a development academy. I can't actually pull players out of that. I need to draft them. And then I have St. Louis FC, which is an actual team in the USL. And I'm taking a look at these players, and they have some pretty decent midfielders that I can go after. A lot of American midfielders too, because I need to keep the international signings down. I need to fill my roster up with Americans. And Rafael Garcia is looking pretty damn decent as a defensive mid / center mid. Good physicals, decent mentals. His defensive skills, if I want to play him as a defensive mid, look fairly decent. He didn't have a bad season last year, 6.98 average rating in 34 appearances. I think it may be worth trying to bring him in from St. Louis if he wants to come up. Say 20,000, and we'll go with that, see if he wants that. Okay, he wants 105, let's drop it to 95. He wants 95 for 2 years. 2 years at the club, more than likely will be a backup, but I feel like he is a quality player that we can bring into the club. And just as I say that, Renato Ibarra able to come into the club. He has accepted the contract terms. As a designated player, he will be coming in and helping us out immensely. Lucky for me, though, there is a transfer request put in for Henrik Hauger and FC Juarez. I don't know where they are. They are in Liga MX. They offer $375,000 for him. I am okay with that. I'm honestly okay with that because he's declining, and I'll show you why he is declining. Henrik Hauger, his agility, his balance, he originally showed he had a downward arrow in the balance and the stamina, and he's on the wrong side of 30 as well. I want to try and get younger with this squad. I know I'm bringing in someone like Bastian Schweinsteiger, which completely negates what I'm trying to say, but Henrik Hauger, I think, was a big miss on my part bringing him in, so we're going to look to try and rectify that by getting rid of him. So $375,000 to FC Juarez. I accept. Hopefully, he accepts all the contracts details on their side and leaves the club. And Rafael Garcia does, in fact, accept the contract offer that I gave out to him, and we're going to be bringing him in for $375,000, which is chump change for us right now. And say goodbye to Hauger. He has gone to FC Juarez. First of the new year can't come soon enough. I need to decide where my lack of depth is going to be. So for the second year in a row, the salary cap has increased, this time from $3.85 million to $4.03 million. That does help us out because we are overpaying in a salary that we did have to use some of our targeted and general allocation money to stay under the salary cap this past year. So now that it's gone up another $200,000, that will help us out immensely. That's essentially paying off one new contract for us. So glad that we get ourselves a little bit more breathing room. But once again, this is for everybody in the MLS. It's not just for us. Everybody has to stay under this new salary cap. And once again, TV deals bring in $3.6 million into our bank account over the course of the next year. All right, so we have new players coming into our academy. I don't know how good they are, but let's take a look and see what the reports are. Currently, Michael Ford and Scott Musinho are looking to be the best players. And right now, 16 years old, he doesn't look that bad whatsoever. He's got some good pace on him. If he just rounds out his technical and his vision and his attacking, he'd be a great, great player. Scott Musinho, goalkeeper. Oh my, he looks really, really good for a 16-year-old. I may sign him up once he comes out of the academy. He looks really good right now, and I'm sure he can only get better. So because now Eric Gehrig is gone and Daniel Blake wasn't the defender I wanted him to be or expected him to be after I drafted him, we needed to go and pick up a new backup, and Logan Emery fits that bill. He's 29 years old, and we're bringing him in from the New York Cosmos. And as you can see, he doesn't look that bad. 12 marking, 14 tackling, 12 positioning. He's not completely fast. He's got average enough speed, but I feel like he can do the job when called upon. He's not that bad overall, and at this point in time, we just needed some depth along the back line. So I think this is not a bad pickup. So those of you who are fans of Inter Milan over the last few years, Freddie Guarin has made himself available. He in fact has went on and played in China for the last couple of years, plying his trade there, and since that time has left himself out of a contract, didn't decide to renegotiate with any of them, and is open to playing in the MLS. Not just with us, but Philadelphia and the New York Red Bulls are going after him as well. I do have a designated player spot open. I feel that it's only right for me to try and go after him because midfield. I need to keep building up that midfield. If I have a strong central mid set up, then I feel that that is going to help us out immensely. The only problem is going to are his wages, because he expects somewhere between $2.4 and $6.3 million, which, like I said, it's nice we have a designated player spot open, but good effing God, he is going to be a tremendous hit on our wage bill. So $3.75 million, and we'll see what he comes back with. Hopefully it's not anything too badly. He wants 5.8. He wants a guaranteed contract for these next 2 years, which means if he's on a guaranteed contract, I cannot get rid of him. I have to pay all of his, or I should say, I could get rid of him, but I have to pay his money if he leaves. So 5.8 is a bit much. I'm going to drop it down to 4.5 and drop the signing on fee down to 2 and see what he thinks about that. He's still asking for a bit much. Man, he wants his money. It's very clear this man wants his money. We'll go with just under $5 million and a $2 million signing on fee. He agrees to that. So looking at my registration right now, there's still a lot of time left. Daniel Blake's gone, and Razvan Kokish is going to be out as well. I really wanted to get rid of him during this window. I'm surprised no one's actually gone and picked him up, especially since Alajuelense has been so heavily linked with him, but they haven't made a bid yet, excuse me. So if he doesn't get a bid made by the time that squad registration is laid down, then he's just going to be out of the team. I mean, it's plain and simple. He is not fit enough to make this team, especially with all the other midfielders that are coming in. All right, everyone, I'm clutching my bank account very, very tightly because Freddie Guarin is going to be taking up a lot of it. He's coming into the club officially, and now my midfield trio is set. All right, now it's time for the Super Draft, and of course, we are going to be picking last because we won the MLS Cup previously, and we need to let everyone else get their chance to get a good player before we do. And this time around, we're only going to have 2 picks, first and second round, because I traded away my 2 third-round picks for money. I got $100,000 in allocation money, in general allocation money for both picks, and then a total of $50,000 in targeted allocation money for each. Traded away the picks to New England and Houston, so good luck to them for getting anything in the third round of this Super Draft. I only care about the top 2 because that's where the best players lie. So without further ado, let's get into the draft. And the draft strategy that I'm going to be going with today is I have a need for wingers. I don't have any depth along the wing side, both attacking wingers and defensive wingers. I just have Brandon Vincent and Chris Hall along the left side, and along the right side, it's Rodrigo Ramos, and then everybody else can play that area sort of, like Daniel Blake, but he's going to be going. Kappelhoff, Polster, the new guy that I just brought in who can also play defensive mid. So yeah, I have depth. I have depth issues along the wingback side, and that's really who I'm going to be going for. So that being said, I already see somebody that actually looks really good and can fill out both roles. Ira Cartwright can play both the left and the right side, as you can see, but he is preferred footed on the left, so he'd be primarily a left back player. To be quite honest with you, though, I need somebody that can play both those sides and, kill 2 birds with 1 stone right there. So Ira Cartwright, and just taking a look at his star, current ability 2-star, potential 3, but a potential in black star of 5. So that's great potential development on his part. So I'm going to draft him. But first and foremost, I want to draft him, but I'm going to take a look at Spencer Cooper to see what he looks like. And I take a look at him. He's got good marking and positioning, but his tackling is so weak. I mean, yes, you could develop that up. He's 21, though, so I don't know how much more development he has. Same thing with Ira Cartwright, so just going to take a chance on Ira. And like I said, hopefully he turns out to be halfway decent and can be useful during this upcoming season. And now we shall take a look and see what we have going for our next picks. And I'm just going to take a look at current ability. Right up here at the top, we got Matt Salinas. Matt Salinas is a 4.5 potential black star potential, and he doesn't look that bad in his current stats that show with a 10 to 13 marking and a 9 to 12 tackling. I would love to see what his positioning was. I would love to see what his speed is. He doesn't look all that bad. And I'm going to take a look at the wingers over here. Andres Barone, if he just had a little better positioning, I would. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to go after Matt Salinas. I'm going to pick him up, and that is going to be that. Those are my only 2 picks this draft. So we're going to complete the draft and hope that we picked up 2 good players. So once again, we got a problem like what we did last year in that Ira Cartwright does not want to enter into contract negotiations. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit talks and then go right back into, well, we got to wait a day, but we're going to go right back into it and offer Cartwright a contract because he will then immediately go into contract negotiations. I don't understand why this is what it is. It seems like it's a bug within the game where any first round pick immediately doesn't want to talk with you, but if you wait a day and then go back in and offer them the contract, they will accept. So I don't understand, and it's not like it's completely game breaking. It's more of a mild annoyance than anything else. So my head of youth development surprised me once again and actually picked up somebody from my academy. I didn't think this guy was good enough at my academy, but he thought it was. 17-year-old Dan Dixon, a striker, a 14 finishing, 10 composure, 9 off the ball. Physically doesn't look that bad either, just needs to work on a few things, and he will more than likely be a backup at this place. But for right now, he's just not good enough to make the starting 11 or even the backups, so I'm probably going to loan this guy out. So we're just a week away from starting the Champions League back up again, the first leg versus Seattle, but as you can see, it's the 15th of February. Schweinsteiger and Ibarra have not come in yet, meaning that we cannot register them for the next round of the Champions League. It's just a one-time deal, which is right now on your screen, and it is used all the way through for the rest of the Champions League. So it sucks that we're not going to have Ibarra and his pace, or Schweinsteiger and his defensive capabilities and strong leadership skills on the pitch. But as it stands, I feel like we have a strong enough squad going forward that we can use Guarin, we can use all the youngsters in tandem with everybody that we already have. So like I said, it sucks, but we got to live with it, and this is what we're going to have to use going forward. That's a load of shit. As you can read right there, Renato Ibarra cannot come through because we can't have more than 2 non-young designated players in the squad. We get Schweinsteiger. As you can see, we're going to get Schweinsteiger, but we can't get Renato Ibarra. Renato Ibarra can't come to the club because it says we cannot have more than 2 non-young designated players in the squad, which means that all 3 of my designated players that would have come through would have been normal designated players instead of at least having 1 young designated player. So I don't understand. I guess Ibarra is not young. He's 27, but yeah, Schweinsteiger's coming in. That's fine, but now we need to go and pick up somebody out on the wing, out on the right side, because we can't get Renato, and that's a real pisser. But we're going to have to worry about that in the next episode. The transfer window is still open. The MLS squad registration has not closed just yet, so we do still have enough time to bring in a fast, young, pacey right winger that can help us in depth. But as it stands, today is the day of our first CONCACAF Champions League quarterfinal matchup against Seattle, but we're also going to be doing that in the next episode as well, so I hope you tune in then. But as far as this episode goes, we have reached the end, and I'd like to thank you all very much for watching this transfer special. If you like what you saw, please go and hit the like button. Lets me know that you're still interested in the series, and if you're interested in the channel in general, go and hit that subscribe button. Any comments, suggestions, questions, anything else at all, please leave in the comment box below. But as always, guys, this is Gendo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and peace out.